All right, so we're diving into the world of meat and meat products, shop managers, got our career guides, interview tips, the whole shebang, ready to break down what it really takes.
Let's do it.
You might think, okay, it's a butcher shop, it's all about knowing your cuts. But these guides paint a different picture, don't they?
They sure do. It's so much more than just knowing your cuts of meat. We're talking business skills, people skills, and of course, you got to have that solid understanding of food safety.
Right, because you're not just handling steaks and chops, you're handling a whole business.
Exactly.
Wow.
Think about it. You've got to manage inventory, keep those customers happy, market your products. It's a balancing act for sure.
And it's competitive out there. This RoleCatcher guide even talks about how online shopping is changing the game for these traditional butcher shops.
Absolutely. A good meat and meat products shop manager, they've got to be adaptable, staying ahead of the curve with trends, technology, all while making sure those food safety standards are never compromised.
It's a lot more responsibility than people realize. The guide actually maps out a whole career path, starting with the sales associate role. It's interesting they highlight how hands-on that starting point is. Customer interaction, product knowledge, even working the till.
That frontline experience is invaluable. You're learning the ropes, literally from the ground up.
So it's not just about stocking shelves, it's about connecting with the customers,
Yeah.
understanding their needs.
Exactly. You're building those relationships, learning what makes a good butcher shop tick. That's where it all begins.
It's like you're becoming part of the community, that friendly face people trust. Not just a transaction, but a connection.
You got it. And those connections, they translate into real skills down the line. You learn how to read people, anticipate what they need, provide that top-notch service. That's what keeps customers coming back.
So you're building a foundation brick by brick. Okay, so let's say you've got that sales associate experience under your belt. What's the next step up on this career ladder?
That would be the assistant manager position, where you really start to step into a leadership role.
Okay, so now we're talking delegation, training new staff,
Yeah.
handling those maybe not-for-happy customers. This guide even mentions implementing loss prevention measures. Things are getting serious.
Absolutely. You're not just responsible for your own tasks anymore. You're the manager's right hand, making sure the whole operation runs smoothly.
So you're moving from, like, handling cuts of meat to handling, tricky situations, thinking on your feet.
It's a whole other kind of cut.
Right. And that reminds me, we talked about adaptability being so crucial for a meat and meat products shop manager. How does that actually play out in this assistant manager role?
Well, it's funny you should mention that because this guide, it really emphasizes just how important it is to be adaptable in this role, like you said, at every level, really. But as you move up, it becomes even more critical.
Because the stakes are higher.
Exactly. You've got more responsibility, and you're dealing with, well, like you said, those unexpected situations. Could be anything, a sudden rush for holiday roasts, a problem with a supplier, even a power outage.
Talk about a curveball.
Exactly. And a great assistant manager, they can think on their feet, make those split-second decisions that keep everything running smoothly, keep the customers happy.
Keep the boss happy, too.
That too.
So we've talked about the hands-on experience of a sales associate, the
Yes.
leadership development you get as an assistant manager. What about those core skills that are important, like throughout the whole career path? What does the guide say makes someone successful in this field?
Well, if there's one thing that shines through in all of these resources, it's the importance of customer service. I mean, that's a given, right?
Makes sense. People walk into a butcher shop, they might have questions about different cuts, how to cook something, what to pair it with. They need someone who's not just friendly, but really knows their stuff.
Absolutely. It's about being approachable, answering questions confidently, genuinely helping people find what they're looking for. It all builds that trust.
It's like you're a guide in this world of meat. They're not just buying something to eat, they're buying an experience, right?
100%.
Okay, so customer service, check. What other skills did the guide highlight?
One that really stood out to me was the emphasis on critical thinking and data analysis.
Whoa, now that's interesting. Data analysis in a meat shop. Tell me more.
It's not as far-fetched as it sounds. Think about it. Every decision a meat and meat products shop manager makes, it all comes down to the bottom line, right?
Profit margins.
Exactly. And that's where data comes in. Take inventory management, for example. You can't just order a bunch of meat and hope for the best.
Especially with perishables.
Exactly. You need to know what's selling, what's not, how to minimize waste. And that's where those data analysis skills come in.
So you're looking at trends, predicting what customers will want, making sure you're stocked up for those big holidays like you were saying earlier.
Yep.
Exactly. And it's not just about inventory either. You're using data to make informed decisions about pricing, too.
Right, because you've got to stay competitive.
Exactly. So you're analyzing supplier costs, understanding those market fluctuations, making sure your prices are attractive to customers and also profitable for the business.
It's like a giant puzzle, but instead of fitting pieces together, you're using data to create a successful business. So we're talking about like being passionate about meat, but also being a numbers person.
Absolutely. You got to have both, that strategic mind.
Right. And then there's the whole people management side of it too, right?
Yeah.
The guy talks about motivating your team, delegating effectively, even like dealing with conflicts.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. Those are essential skills in any leadership role, but especially in a fast-paced environment like a meat shop, things can get pretty hectic.
Yeah, totally. It's like you're conducting an orchestra, making sure everyone's in sync, hitting those right notes to create this, amazing final product
Yeah.
and a profitable business.
I like that. I like that analogy a lot. And you know what? Just like a conductor needs to know their music, a meat product shop manager, they've got to know their meat.
100%.
Yeah.
You can't really lead a team or advise customers if you don't have that deep understanding of what you're selling. And this guide, it even gets into specifics like, different cuts, proper storage, how to assess the quality of meat from suppliers.
Oh, for sure. And speaking of suppliers, that's another key relationship a shop manager needs to cultivate.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Finding those reliable sources for high-quality products, getting those competitive prices,
It all makes a difference.
it really does. Wow, so many moving parts. This deep dive has been, seriously eye-opening. But it also makes you think about that interview process,
Mm.
Like, how do you even begin to show a potential employer that you've got what it takes? Because it's a lot.
It is a lot, and that's where the RoleCatcher interview prep really shines. They have these sample interview questions that are specific to the role, which is super helpful.
It's like a sneak peek into the hiring manager's brain.
Yeah. Right. And I'm telling you, some of these questions, they're tough. Like, tell me about a time you had to make a difficult decision that impacted the shop. Or how do you use sales data to make informed business decisions? You got to be ready.
Yeah, you can't just wing it with those. They want specifics.
Exactly. So think about your own experiences. How did you handle a difficult customer? What would you do to maybe streamline inventory or motivate your team to exceed sales goals? Have those stories ready to share.
Show, don't tell. Right.
Exactly. And be prepared to talk about those, maybe less glamorous parts of the job. Like, how would you handle a customer complaint? How do you ensure food safety? How would you manage, a conflict within your team? These are all things you're going to want to know.
All part of the territory.
Exactly. The more you've thought through these scenarios, practiced your responses, the more confident you'll feel walking into that interview. And that confidence, it shows.
The preparation is key. But you know what? Even with all this prep, it really comes down to figuring out if this is even the right path for you.
Right, 100%. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, and it's clear that this role, it's not for everyone.
It's demanding.
It is. It takes a special kind of person who can handle the pressure, who's passionate about food, and, who's got that business sense. But for those who are up for the challenge, it can be an incredibly rewarding career.
So to everyone listening, if you enjoy working with people, you're a bit of a numbers person, and you're not afraid of some hard work, maybe a career as a meat product shop manager is calling your name.
It's a hidden gem, this career path. It really is.
That's it for this deep dive. We hope you learned a ton, and who knows, maybe we've inspired a few future meat product shop managers out there.
Never know.